England versus Mexico is about to break the World Cup.
Quinones, a chance for Mexico, which he rockets home! Congo substitute says the cross to Kane, he scores! England's saviour!
And here's why. One side has gone 4 straight games without conceding a single goal.
They still haven't conceded a goal at all in this competition. That's incredible in itself. I didn't expect the defence to be as solid as it has been.
The other just pulled off one of the greatest World Cup escapes in recent history, thanks to Harry Kane.
Kane. Still Harry Kane! Oh, they win! Majestic!
Now they're about to collide inside the Estadio Azteca. Nearly 90,000 Mexican fans, over 7,000 feet above sea level.
A round of 16 clash against Mexico, which will be played here at the famous Azteca Stadium, over 7,000 feet above sea level, with the topic of altitude already becoming a major talking point going into this game.
And an atmosphere that has broken some of football's greatest teams. This isn't just a round of 16 match anymore. This could be the game that decides the entire World Cup. Nearly 90,000 fans pack into the Azteca, and the whole stadium sits over 7,000 feet above sea level. That altitude isn't just a number on a broadcast graphic. It's the reason visiting teams fall apart late in games here. There's less oxygen in the air, so every sprint costs more than it does back home, and your body needs longer to recover between them. Thomas Tuchel already said the quiet part out loud. Adapting to that altitude in a few days is close to impossible.
I think this is a heads or tails football match, and I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't win this football match. If it was anywhere else in the world, I would expect us to win it. But in Mexico, I think it's a difficult game.
That's not some pundit's theory. That's England's own manager admitting the problem before the game's even kicked off.
I don't think they got a player that would get in the England team. But when you're playing where they're playing with with the fans and in that stadium and with the altitude above sea level, I think this is a difficult game.
And if you want proof of what this stadium already does to visiting teams, look at what happened to Ecuador. The scoreline read 2-0. That number doesn't tell you anything close to the real story. Mexico's own players walked off calling it the best half of football they'd ever produced, and people online started comparing it to Argentina's first half in the 2022 final.
That first 45 minutes blew me away. That first 45 minutes has made me believe no one wants to play this Mexico side.
Ecuador had just beaten Germany days earlier.
Everybody was speaking about Ecuador's defense, and everybody was speaking about how this team potentially could be a dark horse. I said the same thing. And kind of how good they were against Germany and what they did. Boom, 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 boom.
They arrived with confidence, with belief, with a squad that had already knocked out one European giant.
This is now with a confidence-building result like this. This could be the Ecuadorian side that no one wants to play in.
By halftime against Mexico, they looked shell-shocked, unable to complete 3 passes in a row.
And they mitigated anything that Ecuador was trying to do centrally down the pitch, because that's where Ecuador wanted to build and connect passes, and they weren't able to do that. I saw a passing chart at the end of the match that basically showed all of Ecuador's passing was wide, lateral, or backwards. They were not able to penetrate moving forward, and that's the defensive structure and stance that Mexico had taken in the second.
That's the part that should worry England. This isn't only about talent gaps. Ecuador had talent. What broke them was walking into that noise. That green wall of shirts. That consistent roar. Every time Mexico touched the ball in a dangerous area. England have played in hostile buildings before. They've dealt with whistling crowds, and hostile pressers, and grounds that hate them. But nothing they faced this tournament was built quite like this one. And they're walking in, fresh off the shakiest 75 minutes of their entire World Cup. Strip away the atmosphere for a second and look at the numbers, because the numbers alone should scare England. 4 games, 4 wins, 0 goals conceded.
Now they are 4 straight games in this World Cup where they haven't conceded a goal. They're only one of 2 teams to have done that.
Nobody else left in this World Cup can say that. not France, not Argentina, nobody. Mexico haven't just been good defensively, they've been perfect. Javier Aguirre built this without needing to overcomplicate things. The midfield stays compact, refusing to leave gaps for opponents to run through. The pressing isn't chaotic chasing, it's coordinated trapping. Players cutting off passing lanes until the ball carrier has nowhere left to go. And the backline barely gives up an inch of space in behind, which is exactly the kind of space England have leaned on all tournament to create chances. Going forward, this team has answers everywhere you look. Raúl Jiménez is finishing like a striker, who found his prime late and isn't wasting a second of it.
Flood forward with 5. That's a great ball, Jimenez!
Julian Quiñones has scored in almost every round.
Quiñones! A chance for Mexico! Windshield rocket home! Oh, Mexico maybe with an opening here, and that is the only goal of the World Cup!
The kind of consistency you can't coach into a player, it's just there. And then there's Gilberto Mora, 17 years old, playing like he's done this for a decade. No hesitation, no nerves, just a teenager pulling strings in midfield. Like the moment isn't too big for him, because it isn't.
He has no fear. He asks for the ball. He demands the ball. He doesn't shy away from the big moments, just like this young lady doesn't shy away from the camera. And that's what Mexico needed. Sometimes it's that lack, it's not knowing what you're really up against that really helps you. And Mora just has all of that.
Behind all of it sits Cesar Montes and Johan Vázquez, a defensive partnership that doesn't get talked about enough outside Mexico, but is quietly holding the entire structure together. Every ball into the box, every corner, every cross, they're there to meet it. That partnership is the reason the clean sheet streak exists at all.
It's just, how do you beat Johan Vázquez and Cesar Montes? How? How do you do it, people? It's difficult. And England will find out, or DR Congo will find out how good those two center backs are playing right now.
But here's what makes this even more dangerous for England. Mexico had gone decades without winning a single knockout match at a World Cup. Decades of near misses. Decades of exits that hurt the same way every time. Beating Ecuador didn't just get them through to the next round, it broke something that had followed this program for generations.
You guys deserve this moment after all the pain you've had, all the losses to Argentina, all the losses to the United States in the World Cup in 2002. You guys deserve this moment. All the pain, it came back in a beautiful, beautiful way to No Era Penal, to Brazil in 2018, to get this moment of satisfaction, and now you really can believe.
This group isn't playing scared anymore, they're playing like they believe. And a team with nothing left to prove moves completely differently than a team still trying to erase its own history. That belief is exactly what England are about to walk into. Mexico won as a unit. England against DR Congo won because one man decided the game is his to take over. That's the split screen here, and it's worth sitting with for a second. Look at what Kane actually did against DR Congo.
It could have been a real shock if it wasn't for the one and only Harry Kane, who has yet again put the country on his back and got us through to the next round.
He wasn't just standing on the last defender waiting for service. He dropped deep, linked play, dragged centre-backs 10, 15 yards out of position just by moving into pockets they didn't want to leave unguarded. Then, in the final quarter of the game, he finished it twice. A header off a cross that arrived because his movement pulled the defender toward the ball instead of toward him.
Cordon for Kane!
We have a world-class player, we have an absolutely world-class striker, and even the header's not that easy. He's got to come from deep to move forward to head it like he did in the previous game.
Then a strike from an angle that shouldn't produce a goal, hit clean enough to beat a keeper who'd been unbeatable for 75 minutes.
Harry Kane! It's Kane! Oh, wow!
But eventually, when you need equality in the middle of all the chaos, when everybody's freaking out, you need somebody who sees a different picture and who has a different level of talent. And Harry Kane brought that with a second goal. What a finish that was. What a game for him. They needed him, and he was able to produce.
That's not a striker padding his numbers. That's a player deciding in real time whether his country stays in the tournament. which puts Mexico in a bind. Sit off Kane, give him room to breathe between the lines, and he'll pick you apart with passes you didn't see coming. Press him hard, commit bodies to shut him down, and Bellingham runs into the space that opens up behind. There's no clean answer. Every setup has a hole in it somewhere, and Bellingham isn't just there for support duty. His runs from deep are what stretches defenses in the first place. The reason defenders can't just lock onto Kane and forget about everything else. That partnership, Kane holding the line, Bellingham arriving late from midfield, is what actually pulled England back from the brink against Congo. Take either one away and that comeback probably doesn't happen. But here's the honest part, England were sloppy for long stretches of that game.
And England really huffed and puffed, and they struggled defensively, they struggled in the wide areas.
Slow starts, mistakes at the back, a first 15 minutes that let Congo score first and nearly score again.
To be weathered for now, Wan-Bissaka in! Oh, they've hit them!
They should have made it 2.
They should have made it 2 as well. They should have made it 2 in the first half, yeah, in the 42nd minute. You wonder how that one didn't go in.
Congo forgave some of that. Mexico's front three? They won't. Not in front of that crowd, not with that pressing system, waiting to punish the first loose touch. So the real question isn't whether Kane and Bellingham can produce a moment. They've already shown they can. It's whether 1 or 2 moments of brilliance are enough to survive 90 minutes against a team that never seems to run out of legs. Here's what this game actually is. A team built on structure going up against a team built on stars. And it's happening in the loudest stadium in world football. Whoever wins this doesn't just book a quarter-final, they walk out of the Azteca believing they can win the whole thing. That's actually what's on the line here. One team is terrified of going home empty-handed again, the same story England have lived through tournament after tournament. The other can smell the biggest moment in its history, close enough to touch. That's what makes this the one game at this World Cup everyone should be watching. Subscribe if you want the breakdown the second that final whistle blows, and drop your prediction in the comments before kickoff. We want to see who calls it right.